So as soon as I read the thing, it was Thanksgiving, my mind jumped immediately to Oliver Twist, asking for more. On this occasion, we can understand it. But he was stepping up to the front and in the face of all common sense, asked for more. We can understand it because all the boys in the workhouse were fed measly portions of gruel, barely enough to keep them alive. And those of us who have seen the film, or read books, know the reaction he gets from Mr. Bumble. More! Exactly. Now, to me it sounded like a kind of shock at the very suggestion. Now, whether it was the audaciousness of the request, how dare this boy ask for more, or, to my mind, it's more likely the fact that someone might actually want to eat more of that slop was shocking enough. But it seems that those running the workhouse felt that the kids in their care should be thankful for whatever they get. Nowadays we see that as harsh, perhaps even criminal. But back then, each of those children could have ended up in the gutter freezing or starving to death. So it seems like a kind of rock and a hard place situation. But it does raise the point around being thankful. At which point in young Oliver's situation should he have been thankful? Perhaps when he was first taken in? I guess he was a bit young then to understand. After all, he was a baby left on the doorstep. When he was put to work, that wasn't a great experience either. How about when he met the artful dodger and made friends? Well, of course, on the other side, he also started his criminal career, and that inevitably introduced him to Bill Sikes. How about when Nancy helps him find his grandfather? This is something to be thankful for. Of course, we know that ends quite badly, particularly for Nancy. Or when he finally gets to live in the big house. Well, you know, we all love a happy ending. So when, amongst all of that, should he have been thankful? To my mind, he should have been thankful every day. Yes, he was left by his mum at the workhouse door. But in those days, many unwanted babies were just left by roadsides or in out-of-the-way places, or even in the woods to just die. Yes, he was sold into an apprenticeship with an undertaker, where he was treated poorly. Better fate than many of the boys in the workhouse. Many of the jobs they were given proved to be fatal. Plus, it got him out of the workhouse and actually into the world. The next stages, obviously, in the story are all linked. After all, he met Dodger. Through him, he met Fagin. And through him, he met Nancy, which began the events that led him to meeting and living with his grandfather. So it wasn't an easy road. But young Oliver had a lot to be thankful for, especially compared to many of those that he lived with in the workhouse. After all, firstly, he actually lived. That's a biggie. And more than that, he thrived and went on to a much better life than he could ever have imagined. So I guess that just goes to show you never know what's just around the corner. Okay, so Oliver Twist is a fiction. A story, a book, several films, a few stage plays, all of them pretty good. But it dealt with issues that were very real, and so its lessons are just as valid. Our life journeys, our spiritual growth, our experience and knowledge cannot just be based on our own experienced reality. Especially these days with the internet, worldwide media, YouTube, etc. We are bombarded every day with the life experiences of people from all parts of the world. And with that comes the opportunity to learn valuable life lessons. But of course, there's always a flip side. it also comes with the opportunity to pick up undesirable life traits. We can learn from spiritual leaders around the world new and exciting views of the Bible, God, Christ, the Holy Spirit, religion. But we can also be led into dark paths where these teachings are used to hurt, hinder, oppress and ostracize people. We can see things with new eyes and rejoice in the new understanding of the true universality of God. It's a great phrase, that universality of God. Or we can close ourselves down and live in the fear that we are displeasing a vengeful God. All of these are options. All of these can be found on the internet wherever you go. However, I for one choose to look at things through the lens of a living, loving God, as described by Jesus. A God who has known me since I was in my mother's womb and has watched me grow, stumble, make many, many mistakes. Yeah. And yet always has been there to catch me, to guide me and correct me. Not through force, as in the workhouse, not through fear, but through an unfailing love that actually at times has truly broken my heart. But no matter what I do, how I feel, God is always there. That is something I am and always will be truly thankful for. Now these days we live in a more, now world, where we expect everything to be whenever we want it, and we get annoyed or frustrated or even angry when it isn't there, when we want it, at the exact moment. The world of internet shopping, where you can buy anything online, and sites like Amazon deliver everything you desire in one click. Like magic. Even, as I recently discovered, coffins. I know, right? You can actually order coffins from Amazon, delivered to your door, whenever it suits you. Bargain. But you get from the littlest things, nails, screws, etc., all the way up to huge purchases, cars, boats, even houses you can just buy on the internet. All available to be snapped off online and delivered when convenient. And I say yes, even houses, because we've seen a programme where a company in Europe will design this bespoke house for you and will deliver it to wherever you want it and put it up. So even a house can be delivered to where you want it, when you want it. They're not always dead on time, but you know. So is it any wonder that the bar at which we now set giving thanks is so very high? So high, in fact, that some people seem unable to reach it at all. It seems that to be truly grateful or thankful these days, we expect something spectacular, something out of the ordinary, something amazing or beyond our normal experience. But just take a moment and think. When was the last time you said thank you? And what was it for? Someone opened a door, maybe. You bought a coffee and thanked the server. But was that really giving thanks? Were you really grateful? Or was it just because that's good manners? Was it true gratitude? Or was it just because that has become a habit? I mean, I confess I do it almost as a reflex. Cheers, tar, thanks. It's become almost instinctive, a reaction to any interaction with people. But I have noticed one thing. That if I actually say the whole phrase, thank you, and I say it while looking at the person, looking in their face, looking in their eyes, there's a whole different feel about it. It feels more genuine. And often the impact on the other person is noticeable. Often they stop for a moment and smile or look slightly surprised. Because receiving that kind of thanks also feels very different from the usual nod, tar, cheers. In Psalm 65, the writer gives thanks not just for, as they put it, awesome deeds, but also for caring for the land, for water, for the basics of life that allow life to grow and thrive. For the beauty of creation with seas, streams, hills, meadows. I particularly like the hills are clothed with gladness. What a great way to look at it, clothed with gladness. Now personally, I would want to be clothed with gladness every day. That sense of feeling glad, happy, joy every day. Incredible. Can you imagine just getting up in the morning and as natural as getting dressed, even in your snugglies, or whatever you call your comfy clothes. You are clothed in gladness, glad to be alive, a feeling of joy at the fact that there's just a new day. And you go out and you see the world through those eyes. I know that when I'm feeling good, when I'm feeling happy, cheerful, the world always looks better, brighter, more exciting, even when it's chucking it down with rain. I still get out and dance in the rain. But when I'm feeling down, the world looks miserable. It looks dark and moody. And you think, Perhaps the way to start that, to spark that clothing in gladness, is to simply begin each day by saying thank you to God. It doesn't have to be for anything specific, anything special, just a truly heartfelt thank you to the one who gave us all of this. The world is a beautiful place. No matter how hard we try and muck it up, it's still beautiful. Let's be glad we are in it and be thankful for what we have, not angry about what we haven't. So we come full circle and back to young Oliver. He went up and asked for more. Nothing wrong in that. Just like there was nothing wrong in asking God for more. But, like in Oliver's case, where asking for more started a series of events that eventually ended up with him being in a much better place, we shouldn't expect God to act immediately. We shouldn't expect God, like Amazon, to deliver at our convenience. We need to be prepared to go through the mill, through some hard times even. All the while, holding on to that promise that God is there with us every step of the way. Now that promise, that is something we should be truly thankful for every day of our lives.